SEGA News Bits. Hey, it's Barry here with George.
Hey, everybody.
And let's pretend that didn't happen. Why did I do that? Oh, hey, Daytona 3 Championship USA has been announced for arcades.
And what a title, right?
Wow, it's like they took Daytona USA 3 Championship, which sounds pretty good, put it in a blender and gave us Daytona 3 Championship USA. But hey, if that's the only thing that we're complaining about right now, that's fine, because a new Daytona game's coming our way. That's a surprise.
It's only been a few years, right?
It's only been like, what, 18 years, right?
Yes, only.
So yeah, what's the story behind this? Well, let me answer that, Barry. Thank you. Basically, SEGA, well, actually, let's give credit to Arcade Heroes, the website that covers arcade stuff, and they were talking, about Operation Ghost getting a new kind of rejiggerment, and Let's Go Island, which you can listen to in their own news bits. But then they also mentioned that SEGA had something big planned, and they said, well, it could be a new Daytona. This is the first I've heard about this, and George, we were discussing, like sometimes we learn things behind the scenes and we stay quiet about it.
We can't say anything sometimes.
Yeah, but this is something that we have not heard about at all. And I think the main reason is this is coming from SEGA Amusements and from probably SEGA of Japan's arcade division, which these are two I guess divisions or that we never get info on. We try our hardest, but it's not like the consumer side. It's not like Sega's console games or Sega, Europe, whatever. These are things we don't really hear about. But we heard about this. And so what is it? Well, it's a brand new title in the Daytona series, the third official game. We have on very good authority that SEGA has assembled as much of the original Daytona team as they could to develop this game, including Mitsuyoshi on sound, who did the iconic song that I butchered earlier, or maybe made better. I don't know.
I think made better is right.
Broke or fixed. Let's see. The game is going to be a brand new version of Daytona. We were speculating before this that it might be Sega Racing Classic with the Daytona license again, which, given the previous news from Sega Amusements with Operation Ghost's kind of quasi-remake and Let's Go Island, we were thinking, it's just going to be, another HD Daytona with the license. But it's not. It's a brand new game. There will be 3 brand new tracks, including a recreation of the Daytona International Speedway. What's your thought on that?
That's pretty good. I mean, they've always added 3. What's up with that? Like, I think on the second one, on the Dreamcast, also added 3 new tracks, and then the Circuit Edition on the Sega Saturn added 3 new tracks. It's like they have a thing with it being 3s, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is cool because this is the actual Daytona International Speedway, which I believe has recently been gone through a little bit of a refurbishment. So this is the first time that the real Daytona track is in Daytona, correct?
I think so. I don't remember it being there. I didn't even know it was a track, to be honest with you, so I'm even more surprised at this point. But I didn't know anything about Daytona. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't even know it was a NASCAR thing until like a few years ago, so it's even more interesting. I just played the game because it was a fun game to play, right? So,
yeah, right. Well, I mean, before we recorded, I just looked this up in order we get all our facts straight, which we usually don't. But Daytona International Speedway is a location, obviously. It's a speedway. NASCAR uses it, but it is not, I believe, exclusively a NASCAR course, which is interesting because, you always look at the Daytona USA games and think, oh, it's NASCAR. It's technically not. They don't have the NASCAR license. It's, I guess, what would you call that? Like stock car racing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, hopefully I didn't use the wrong term. I'm not a car guy. There are also the 3 classic courses remastered for the modern era. These are the 3 original courses from the first game. As they say, remastered for the modern era. So what, can we expect modern Sonic chiseled into the side of a mountain?
And the modern Jeffrey from Virtua Fighter?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that would be really cool if they kept a lot of those things. There's wasn't there like a little cave you could drive into, right? And it was like, congratulations, you lost the race or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I think that was the Sega Saturn version, though. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think they'd put that in the arcade, but if they did, that would be cool. There will also be new cars and game modes. Not much more is known than that, but hopefully we'll see the cars from the first and second game, and then some new cars, obviously. It has a 47-inch LED cabinet, and it's linkable for up to 8 players, which is pretty cool. There is an in-game camera system, which I believe means that you are being filmed as you play, and your teammates can see your face show up on the screen, like maybe when you're coming up alongside them. And this is something they've used, Sega Amusements have used actually in some previous games. What is it? Showdown. There's also a live TV spectator video billboard that you can get, which is an addition, and it would be above the machines, and people could all congregate and watch the games. And again, this is something that Sega Amusements have done. That there's one in downtown Chicago at a place called FTW. It's an arcade next to the AMC. If you live in Chicago or near there and you want to see what this sort of setup looks like, it's something else. It's huge. I guess the only negative would be that I can't see FTW ever getting this game because they already have Showdown. It's a big investment though if you get all this. They say it is based on the original game engine. What's your thought on that?
I think the game's a little old. It came out in 1994. I'm hoping that it doesn't mean that it's running on the old engine and it's just updated. I was kind of hoping that they would, like, I don't know, have some physics-based stuff. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just asking for too much in this game, right?
It's tricky. There's an all-new party mode for arcade events, so I believe this is how they'd kind of like lock it off so that you can play with a group of friends. I'm assuming maybe like a free-for-all sort of thing, so you all don't have to keep putting in quarters. You maybe pay for an hour on the Daytona 3 machine, which would be pretty cool. I mean, if I'm able to get a arcade near me, I'll definitely see if they can do a party, invite some people out, have some fun.
So, like, what do you want this game to be in the end of the day? Like, do you want it to be a brand new engine with brand new graphics that looks like a new game that just came out this year, or do you want it to look stylized like the old game? Because it's kind of rocky territory. I think a lot of people have fond memories of the bright, beautiful, artistic-looking Daytona USA, but at the same time, Daytona USA really did push the boundaries of graphics. It was one of the first games with texture polygons, and it really pushed, the Model 2 arcade forward. So is this going to be something that pushes this arcade forward, or do you want it just to be good enough? That's my question.
It's a good question for our listeners. As far as asking me that, I would say I want it to control similarly to the originals because I feel like they've made mistakes in the past. Comes to mind is Daytona USA 2001 for the Dreamcast. That did not control the same way as the original Daytona. People didn't like it. And you even look at non-racing games that Sega have done, like Valkyria Azure Revolution. It plays differently. People don't like that. Sonic 4, it plays very differently. People don't like that. And yet Sonic Mania comes around, and people are like, oh yeah, it plays just like the classics. But there's graphical improvements. Now, so I guess I'd say with Daytona 3, I'd like to see as best as they could do with the graphics, but still keep it bright and colorful and fun, and have it play the same, with the improvements maybe being new modes, as they've already hinted at, and new tracks and cars.
That sounds pretty. That's probably what I would say. The same thing. I think I would love to have an option where you could just play old school polygon mode, like just call it original arcade mode, and everything's like redone, even the new cars, in old aesthetics. That'd be pretty cool. Like there'll be like a little cheat. Because, I mean, the Daytona USA and the arcades was kind of known for having all these little hidden things you could look for. So, Daytona 2 is never came out on consoles, and a lot of people are already complaining because, that they already want this as a home release. What are your thoughts about that?
Okay, yeah, I was wondering when we'd get to the elephant in the room. Okay, so this is an arcade exclusive, and that has angered a lot of people. But you have to understand, Daytona USA as a franchise is an arcade game. It's made for arcades. It's a quick thrill. You have only 3 courses. You only have, the cars don't really matter what car you get. I don't even think, do you pick cars? I don't think you do.
Not in the first one, no.
No, and so, it's a game built for arcades. Now, yes, arcades have declined. I hesitate to say that they're dying, because I feel like when people say arcades are dying, that's like saying arcades are going to be going away in the next 5 to 10 years entirely. I disagree. I think the arcade, as we knew it in the 80s and 90s and even 2000s, is changing. And I think it needs to change to survive. And I think the people working in these industries, they're smart enough to know that. They're not sitting back and going, well, we got about 15 more years of this industry and then it's going to shit. They're not doing that. They're sitting back and thinking, well, not sitting back, they're sitting forward and thinking very hard about what can they do to keep this, industry going, and what decisions can they make as a business in order to push their product. And in this case, Daytona 3 is SEGA Amusement's product. And if this is an arcade exclusive, more people who own arcades are likely to buy it. I mean, simple as that. If you're telling them this is a game that nobody has on consoles, it's a long-loved franchise, you probably have had a Daytona machine in your arcade before, and they're probably going to go, oh yeah, it was super popular, but the last one you made was in 1998. I very much doubt Sega Racing Classic was that popular because it did not carry the Daytona brand name, and I don't think it was that great of a game, to be honest. Just because it still had a lot of the problems that the original Daytona had, but it was a modern game made with these issues in it. What do you think, George? Because I'm looking at it from the perspective of Sega as a company, which I think is the wise thing to do.
I think the wise thing to do would be to release it in the arcade, make your money, and then when you see the revenue decline, because they have that kind of data, you grab the game, you grab Daytona 1, Daytona 2, and then Daytona 3, and then you put them in the package and just sell it to the fans. Like, at this point, Daytona 2 has never been on the consoles.
Right.
Let's get a hard copy out there. Even if it takes a year or 2 years, hopefully it doesn't take as long as Daytona USA 1 did, because that game is still in like every arcade.
Well, yeah, and let's use an example here. So Afterburner Climax, that released to arcades in 2006, and it released to consoles, the PS3 and Xbox, in 2010. So that's a 4-year gap. Let's say, Daytona 3 has a good 4 to 5 years in arcades before we see it in home console. Is that a bad thing? Like, it's kind of win-win. You get it for the home console eventually, but Sega Amusements makes their money and makes their sales because it's an exclusive to arcade. I think that sounds great, personally.
That sounds fine. I mean, I think we live in the age where consumers want everything now. We're so entitled, and we complain online now that we have a voice. So, I mean, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that would be fine enough for me. I would rather have it sooner than later, obviously, but
right.
I think Daytona is just one of those games that everybody should experience in the arcades. It's just not the same when you're at your house with a controller.
Right, of course. And I understand that there are people who don't live near arcades and they don't have them, but you have to understand that this is still an industry that exists and that is, trying to do the best they can. And, you can argue with me all you want about it, but I still say in some areas they're still doing very well. I've seen new Dave & Buster's being built. And if people are building new arcades in major metropolitan areas, that means people are going to these places. They might not be going to them in, the middle of a country that doesn't have any arcades. But I'm sorry, you are not Sega Amusement's target audience. Their target audience are major cities that have these sorts of arcades set up.
I think you triggered a lot of people, so let me close it up real quick. Let us know what you think. What do you want Daytona USA 3 to be? And I know that's not the title. That's what the title should be. And let us know what do you think about it being exclusive to the arcades in the comments below. Thanks for listening.
Oh, I like getting all angry.
Did you hate what you just heard? You're probably going to hate us even more if you go to www.segabits.com.
Yeah, please troll us.